quite a bit. They end up causing you to be off the air and disappointing your fans and your supporters. So I'm gonna I'm gonna be on my P's and Q's from now on. I promise. I'm gonna take my time and get things done the way they need to be done. Because you know how it is, without the proper information, you just can't get things done. And so I apologize to you, my loyal listeners. I apologize to the service provider for me making a mistake and giving them the wrong information. Not what I intended to do, but it is what it is, right? So I hope you guys forgive me. I am I'm gonna be the first to admit that your girl is not technologically inclined at all. Technology is not my strong suit. Never was. And I don't think it ever will be. But I'm getting there. I'm trying. And I hope you guys can forgive me for making such a serious boo boo. I saw the comments on Facebook. People were not very happy. People were thinking all sorts of things. And yeah, I admit it. It was my fault. I'm going to be the first to admit it really was my fault. I simply provided the wrong information to the service provider, so please forgive me. But now we're back. Everything is sorted, and I've understood the do's and don'ts a lot better. And you know it's a learning curve. You learn as you go along. You may not want to admit that sometimes you make a silly mistake, but it is what it is, guys, right? You forgive me, right? All right. Well, I'm just going to assume that you do. Just going to assume. But we're back. And you know, here on Hard Talk, we have the we have the we were tasked with the job of keeping the elected officials of this country on their toes. And the reason why, and I will continue to remind everyone why we do this, is because we are the opposition, guys. Whether we want to believe it or not, we are the opposition. There's nobody, there's nobody in the House of Assembly through our own fault. I'm not removing one set and leaving the other set. We, the St. Lucian electorate, we chose to have a House of Assembly with no opposition. We chose this. It was our fault. And so we now have to pick up the slack. We have to do what we need to do. So let us do the job, because without a strong opposition in the House of Parliament, anything goes. Everything goes. Except the will of the people. Because you can say whatever you want. This government has taught us that while they have promised to put the people first, that we are completely in the dark as to which people exactly they are in fact putting first. We're never sure what we're going to get from this government day in and day out. Half the time we are groping in the dark. The Prime Minister campaigns on one thing, turns around and tells us something or does something completely different. Something that we are totally unprepared for. Totally unprepared for. So we need to keep our eye on the prize, our eyes on the prize. We need to keep our eyes on the ball. We need to ensure that we are vigilant, we pay attention, and we demand that the will of the people takes precedent. It's very important. That's extremely important. Because half the time, I believe it is the will of the government and their supporters that takes precedence. Half the time, I think the Prime Minister simply, and a lot of people feel this way, that the Prime Minister simply takes he pulls ideas out of a hat and he just does things. And I may be wrong by saying this, but it just seems that way, doesn't it? Sometimes these policies and ideas and policy statements, and they just come out of nowhere, don't they? And you're always in a state of confusion. It almost feels as if the policy of this government is to keep the electorate confounded, kerfuffled, and quite confused. Even trying to listen to the Prime Minister speak sometimes it's very taxing. I know a lot of individuals who simply they just they cannot listen to the prime minister. They choose not to because the way he provides information, the way he comes across, it's almost as if he is trying to confound you. I don't know. It's almost as if he's trying to get you to stop paying attention, trying to frustrate you so that you just walk away. A lot of people feel that way. Now, whether or not this is a policy of the government, I don't know. I just know that it is the common conception. I can't say it's a misconception because, again, I don't know. I don't know what the Prime Minister is thinking. I don't know what his intentions are. I'm simply trying to understand. And so are we all. Sometimes I want to get the information straight from the source. So I come on here and I play some information or a clip from the Prime Minister. And there is almost a riot. People say, listen, Angie, I can't. Could you imagine, guys, that I have gotten messages whenever I've tried to play a clip from the Prime Minister, where people are messaging me and saying to me, listen, I can't. Could you please stop? I've gotten messages where people have said to me, I'm not going to listen anymore if you continue to play clips from this man. I've gotten messages where people have said to me, I'm signing off now. Please message me when you're done playing that clip. That shouldn't be the case. This should not be the reaction of a nation to their leader. People should want to hear what the Prime Minister has to say. And to apologize to some of my viewers on here because people are really asking about yesterday. So yesterday, guys, I have to tell you that it was entirely my fault that we were off the air. I thought I was asked to provide some information to the service providers, and I provided the wrong information and caused us to be off the air unnecessarily. Please forgive me, but when you're the chief cook and bottle washer, sometimes you drop the ball. And so I apologize. I accept my fate. I lay myself at the mercy of the listeners, and I'm hoping that you guys forgive me. But I did really drop the ball yesterday. I provided the wrong information, and this just, it had a domino effect. But today I took my time and I made sure that everything is cook and curry. So we should not be having any of these problems. again in the near future. Cross my fingers and my toes and knock on wood. Okay? I think I've sorted everything out. Yeah, but sometimes human error, you drop the ball. So thank you. Somebody says you're forgiven. Thank you for forgiving me. I promise I will try my best not to let it happen again. Right, so back to the information on the Prime Minister. Oh, by the way, guys, so I was diligently trying to sort out the broadcast, the radio broadcast. People have been complaining that the radio broadcast is not on. So I was trying to sort it out, and I mixed up the radio frequency with the link frequency. Made a silly mistake. But I assure you, okay, probably I shouldn't make such a strong statement, knowing my technological capabilities. Let me backtrack a little bit, guys. I will attempt to ensure that the radio broadcast is resumed by the end of the week. So those of you who prefer to tune in on the radio, those of you who enjoy listening in your car, enjoy listening from the stereo, many people have said that they prefer to listen on the frequency because it's clearer and they just enjoy it. So again, fingers crossed, the radio broadcast will resume by the end of the week. Again, fingers crossed, toes crossed, legs crossed. If you are capable of crossing your eyes, I would ask that you attempt that. But because it was my error yesterday, we have a special treat. So Foster Chico will be here with us this afternoon so that we air a makeup session of a full disclosure. And hopefully we have some very interesting topics for you guys. I've seen some of the material that he has sent over. He normally sends his material over. So you guys are in for a treat, and you know that full disclosure is always a very informative show. And I want to make an appeal to my listeners. Guys, we can't, our message will not be heard if we don't send it out there. I think somebody was attempting to call the station already, guys. Wow, you guys must have missed me. It was just one day. Whew, so much pressure. I'm gonna have to make sure I stay on the ball. So, as I was saying, if you are able, if you are in a mood to, please share the live, especially on the Facebook page. And if you know of anyone who wants to follow the broadcast, don't be shy. Share the link. Our radio frequency, we're working on it and will resume as soon as possible. But don't be shy, guys. The good Lord said to share. He was talking about the link, the Facebook page, and the live. Now, before we get into the meat of the matter, I want to welcome all of you who've taken the time and joined us today. Those of you listening on the Fire FM link. Good to have you with us. Thank you for being here. Those of you who are listening, tuning in on the Facebook platform, once again, welcome. Thank you for being with us. Soon, pretty soon, I'm hoping that We can also simulcast on YouTube, but that is just a little far further away. But it is coming, so you can look forward to that medium. For now, if you want to catch replays, maybe you missed an afternoon, don't be shy, hop onto the YouTube page. It is the same, Fire FM, Fire 107.7 FM on YouTube, and you can catch some of the older broadcasts, videos of and the shows are separated, so you can catch Full Disclosure, you can catch the Morning Reset, you can also catch Hardtalk. I was attempting to bring the Morning Reset back, but due to circumstances beyond my control, I have not been able to do that. But don't worry, guys, it's coming. It's coming. And I really want to applaud you and thank you for sticking with us through our growing pains. I must say that we have some very loyal listeners here on Fire FM, which is why I always want to ensure that I give you the best of everything, because I appreciate you, I appreciate your time, and I appreciate your dedication and loyalty. So thank you very, very much. You guys make this job, with all its difficulties, with all its challenges, very, very rewarding. So let's go back to the Prime Minister of St. Lucia. We have a Prime Minister who just, I don't know if he turns people off, but several individuals, several citizens, they just cannot listen to this man speak. And then there are some that would tell you that the reason why I'm supporting the party is because of Mr. Pierre. Why is that? Is there something about the Prime Minister that we don't see or we don't understand? Or maybe some individuals are just not as discerning as others. I don't know what the distinction is, but I do know that it's very hard to listen to the Prime Minister sometimes, but you don't have a choice because, again, as I explained when we started, we are the opposition. And as the opposition, it is our duty to ensure that the best interests of the St. Lucian people takes precedent in all matters. That being said, over the weekend, we had the unfortunate, very unfortunate circumstance or situation of having the homicide count jump to 24. And that is very concerning. Even more concerning to me is listening to the Prime Minister instead of making a strong statement a very strong statement to the individuals who continue to disturb the peace in this country, who continue to create havoc and chaos. Because again, he is the Minister of National Security. So it is his job to ensure that every citizen is safe. Now, of course, don't get me wrong, we don't expect the Minister of National Security to go out there with a baton, some handcuffs, and apprehend the criminals. That is not his role, that is not his job, and we don't expect that of him. But can he just simply make a statement that ensures that the criminals know that what they are doing will not be tolerated? Is that too much to ask of our Prime Minister and Minister of Security? And I sought to answer that question by listening to the pre-cabinet press briefing. Now, you know the pre-cabinet press briefing is a weekly platform used by the government of St. Lucia to inform the public on the goings-on in the country. Policy direction, matters of importance, so on and so forth. But I was so, how do I say it? Confounded by the Prime Minister's statements. I know you must be wondering, but what is Angie talking about? What is she saying? What does she mean that she was confounded by the Prime Minister's statements? And of course, true to the principles of accountability, transparency, truth, and integrity, I need you to discern for yourself what exactly happened. Before I give any opinions on the matter, I want to give you, the viewers, the listeners, the electorate, a moment to listen to the statements, internalize them, and just help me figure out what is going on in the mind of our esteemed leader. So without further ado, please forgive me if you are one of those who I described earlier, who just simply can't with the Prime Minister, but I do need you to get the proper information and to discern for yourself what is being said, what is meant by what is being said, and so on and so forth. And by the way, guys, please don't shoot the messenger. I am simply too pretty to be short. I bring you now to the pre-cabinet press briefing and remarks from the Prime Minister of St. Lucia, Honorable Philip J. Pierre.
Gentlemen, ladies, first of all, I really want to start by expressing my condolences to the relatives of another senseless shooting. This is of great concern to me, not only because it happened in my constituency, but of great concern to me because it seems that we are continuing on a trend that is not necessary on a trend that will not do us, not the country, any good. The government will continue to try to use all legal methods available. We will continue with the police and the enforcement, but also continue with our social programs. This government has spent, I know, on social programs. I think in terms of spend on social programs, the government, no other government has done more than us in terms of social programs. We're going to continue. During the policy statement next week, we're going to speak about interventions at the school system. We have this child, we have to start at an earlier age at the school system. We're going to start there. We're also going to talk about interventions as far as our young ladies are concerned, because we've seen a trend of crime among our young people, both men and women, get involved in these crimes. That is no consolation, and I please don't take it as a consolation. But it seems to be happening in the region. In St. Vincent, I understand this last weekend there were, I think, 4 murders in 2 days in St. Vincent. No consolation. And for me, in Barbados, in Jamaica, there seems to be a pandemic of gun crime in the region, in Trinidad. And again, no consolation, but that is a fact. And it's something that we must take very seriously. Solutions will not come easily. To say that solutions have not been tried will not be fair, but it's of great concern to us, and I really believe that we will continue all efforts to reduce the gun violence in the country. All efforts. We, in my policy statement, we're going to do further with TVET and special education. We're going to be seeing if we can get involved with the Care Institute, because the care has had a very good record. So we're going to be trying, continue to try. I still believe that the majority of young people in St. Lucia are positive and forward looking. The minister must have told you how we performed at the Carifta Games. So I still believe that I have faith in the young people of St. Lucia, but we continue to try. We'll continue to try. But I have faith. I'm not despondent about the young people of St. Lucia. What they're doing with the youth economy, what they're doing in sports. I don't despair, but they continue to see if we can stop these senseless murders. Apart from that, I'm ready to get your questions. Today I will not be as long as I normally am, because we need a pronoun.
So, the Prime Minister, for some reason, while trying to speak about crime, felt it was necessary to tell the electorate of St. Lucia everything that is happening in all the other countries in the Caribbean. Is it just me, or is the Prime Minister hell-bent on passing the buck and pretending that, or maybe not pretending, now that I think about it, maybe not pretending. Maybe what the Prime Minister is attempting to do is to distract us, point us in the direction of other countries and their problems, so that we try to tell ourselves, well, it's not that bad. We can cope. My question to you, St. Lucia, is, should we cope? Should we continue to accept the distraction that, oh, it's not that bad because look at Dominica, look at St. Vincent. Yeah, we have murders, but they have murders too. And then another thing the Prime Minister does, which I just don't understand. I don't know who advises the Prime Minister. I don't know where he gets these ideas from. But with all due respect, before I move on, with all due respect, let me just close this off right here. Mr. Prime Minister, I assure you with every fiber of my being that nobody in St. Lucia cares how many murders occurred in Dominica. Nobody cares how many murders occurred in Jamaica. I'll tell you why. None of us live there. None of us live there. Out of sight, out of mind. It does not affect us unless these individuals are personal family or personal friends or family. We do not care. It's not that we are immune to the plight of our sister countries. It's a poor jab situation. And let me explain to you what I mean by a poor jab situation. You ever notice that something happens to a neighbor and all you can think about is, thank God it wasn't me? Poor jab, that happened to you, but secretly you are very happy that it did not happen to you. Except in this case, it is happening to us. The other countries in the Caribbean, or in the Eastern Caribbean, because he likes to point out Dominica, St. Lucia, St. Vincent, blah, 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 story, ba, ba, black sheep, have you any wool? They have their own problems. But they also have their own Prime Minister, their own Minister of National Security, their own police commissioner, their own means of dealing with their issues. They don't need us to tell them what to do. We are not affected by what happens there as badly as when it happens here. And our primary concern is what happens on the streets of Fair Helen that we have to traverse. So I just want to get that out there, Mr. Prime Minister. This is where the mind of every single St. Lucian is. Yes, we sympathize with our sister countries. We understand that things are tough. But quite frankly, we are way more concerned with the level of crime in our own backyard. We are way more concerned with crimes occurring here in St. Lucia, with murders happening pretty close to home, with our friends, our classmates, our family members, our co-workers losing their lives in these gruesome manners. So I don't know if you understand where the mind of every St. Lucian is, but that's where it is. Okay, I'm sorry, but that is where it is. We really and truly, while we may sympathize with our sister island's plight, we are concerned about our own. This isn't a lebab kamawadu puidife wuze sao situation, Mr. Prime Minister. This is a we are up shit creek without a paddle situation. And we would very much like for you to respect the mandate that we have given you and do the job that we are paying you for. I don't know if your other constituents tell you how the people feel as bluntly as I do, but I feel maybe you need a wake-up call, Mr. Prime Minister. Other countries can deal with their problems. We need you to deal with ours. That is number one. Number two, I find it very disturbing, utterly disturbing, that the Prime Minister would make a statement to say, and I really wish the Prime Minister would think before he speaks, because I don't believe he thinks his statements through. But this is not rocket science. And I don't understand why the Prime Minister, maybe nobody has pointed it out to him, but I feel I should. I feel it is my civic duty to point out to Prime Minister Philip J. Pierre that while we appreciate and agree that your government has spent money in social programs, that your government has given the police more equipment, according to you, than any other government in the world. I'm sorry, any other government in St. Lucia's history. I don't want to say the wrong thing, guys. But I want you to understand, Mr. Prime Minister, that no other government in St. Lucia's history has generated, that statement that I was about to make, those words that I was about to use, they might be misconstrued. So let me be more careful and more discerning and more responsible with my voice here. Permit me to be more responsible with my voice. And permit me to see that no other government in St. Lucia's history has had to contend with this level of unchecked criminal activity. No other government in St. Lucia's history has had to deal with so many homicides. No other government in St. Lucia's history has had to deal with so much unrest. And so I think it's instructive that the Prime Minister realize that maybe, just maybe, his methods are not delivering the required results. You see, in projects, and I say a project because a project has a beginning and an end. So I know that the Prime Ministership has a beginning and an end. Mr. Prime Minister, when we appointed you as Prime Minister of St. Lucia, there are certain deliverables that we expected. And I'm sure even the most simple layman can understand what a deliverable is. Something that we expect you to deliver. One of those things was lower crime rates in country. Not lower crime rates in Dominica, in St. Vincent, in Jamaica. As much as we don't want there to be crime in these countries, as much as we sympathize with the individuals who live in these countries, what we are primarily concerned with and what is our primary focus is crime in St. Lucia. Now, if you have decided that your approach, because again we understand that as the Minister of National Security, your job is policy direction. And if you have taken or embarked on a policy direction that you are realizing, instead of giving you the desired result, and we're hoping that the desired result is a reduction in the incidence of homicide, rape, robbery, assault, burglary, white collar crime, blue collar crime, green collar crime, no collar crime, whatever the case may be. Don't you think that it is time for you to, try something different? You have ascertained that over the past 5 years, the murder rate continues to rise. The assault, the violent crime continues to perforate our society. Even our kids are getting involved in gang activity. Recently, I heard you speaking about something that I thought had been stamped out in St. Lucia, truancy. And I was like, wow, we're going back in time. I haven't heard about truancy in St. Lucia since the early 80s. But the Prime Minister is now concerned about truancy. So much so, and this I think merits some more discussion, but we'll come back. The Prime Minister has hired, wait for it, former Commissioner Peleus as the island's new truancy officer. The only truancy officer currently employed with the Ministry of Education. But the Prime Minister has proposed to hire 3 more truancy officers because he's concerned about children not attending school. Now, again, confusion follows our Prime Minister like a cloud. Because again, this policy has me confounded, kerfuffled, and quite confused. In a conversation about crime and a rise in homicides, our Prime Minister has decided to shift the focus to truancy. My question to the Prime Minister is about the relevance of this. I am not saying that we should not ensure that our young people receive the best education available. Far from it. my question is about the context. You see, the conversation was about crime. The conversation centered around reducing crime. And the Prime Minister goes off and talks about truancy and how concerned he is about children not attending class. My question to the Prime Minister, and guys, I believe this is a relevant question. Is there any evidence that these crimes are being committed by children or minors who have been absent from the school plant recently? Is that the reason why we are focusing on this issue? Is there really any evidence to suggest that St. Lucia is in the grip of a truancy crisis? What are the statistics from our nation's schools? What is the data? Because here's the thing, this government always tells us that their decisions and policies are data driven, intelligence driven. They like to make these statements. So I want the Prime Minister to inform us, what is the current statistics on truancy coming from the Ministry of Education? I don't recall reading anything about truancy in the recent socio-economic review. Maybe I haven't gotten to that page yet. And maybe if I ask the question, the Prime Minister might be able to point me in the right direction where I might be able to get these statistics, this data, to bring to my listenership. Because this is important. If the Prime Minister is going to dish out taxpayers' revenue to hire 3 additional truancy officers, then I would expect that there must be some sort of uptick in truancy in the nation's schools, and I would expect to see some sort of data pointing in that direction coming from the Ministry of Education. Now, as poor as people have determined that the reporting in St. Lucia is, I highly doubt that we would be in the grip of a truancy problem and not one media house has quoted one principal about telling us anything about that problem. The Ministry of Education has not put out any sort of literature, advisory, data on this seeming insurmountable problem where we need to increase our wage bill and increase our truancy department by 3, talking about that they're going to stamp out this problem north, south, east, and west. Where is the data that point towards truancy in St. Lucia? Because in my experience, parents wish that St. Lucia was like Martinique in that they had school on a Saturday. I believe that St. Lucian parents would be very happy, elated, if the Ministry of Education decides that, our test scores, our test scores and our test scores are going down, attendance is going down, and performance is at a critical juncture, and so we need to institute one more day of school, so kids will now be required to go to school on Saturday. I think there would be partying in the streets from St. Lucian parents. And if the Ministry of Education would be so kind as to invite our students to come to school during Easter holidays, during the summer, let me tell you something. St. Lucian parents people would wonder if there was a second carnival celebration in St. Lucia only for mothers. Because these kids can test you. So, where is the data that points towards a need for taxpayers in St. Lucia to pay the salaries of 3 additional truancy officers? Is this something that we need in St. Lucia? If you said to me that in the 80s and the 70s, when bananas was king, when there was green gold, that on Banana Day, parents would pull their kids out of school to help on the family farm. And we needed truancy officers to ensure that these kids attended class. Yes, it was a need. And, it was necessary. But where is the evidence? Where is the data from the Ministry of Education which points to a need for 3 additional truancy officers? I think if we look at the data surrounding truancy in St. Lucia, we would realize that this is not a priority. And this is simply a way for the Prime Minister to seem as if he is doing something by really doing nothing at all. Because if there are any kids who are staying home from school in St. Lucia, these children are either sick or their parents cannot afford. And this is not a case for truancy. If we have children running away from class, beating class, that's not a serious problem. It's not a problem where we need an entire truancy department. Because Cressida Peleus has been handling this job throughout the island by herself for years. Ever since she departed as Commissioner of Police. And I don't recall Miss Peleus asking for help, making a statement to the parents of St. Lucia, because I recall in the 80s, you would hear the chief education officer coming out and saying that parents, you need to send your kids to school And if you don't, then the truancy officers will come to your home and get them. And if it is that we have regressed to the point where we now need to spend taxpayers' money to deal with a problem that had already been stamped out, what exactly does that say about the leadership of Philip J. Pierre? What exactly does that say about you, Mr. Prime Minister, that you have brought St. Lucia backwards, so much so that the island is regressing into a situation that had been stamped out by the John Compton administration? This does not, to me, sound like a government who is working or doing well. One. And two, if we don't have a burgeoning truancy problem, it still does not bode well. It still does not look good for you, Mr. Prime Minister, because it would mean that you are using taxpayers' funds to provide jobs for the boys. So either way, the optics on this truancy issue, it doesn't look good. So my advice to you, Mr. Prime Minister, is to take a hard look on your policies, your education policies, your economic policies, because this seems to be a Chinese situation. Something wrong. And speaking of taxpayers' funds, I don't know if you guys have noticed the amount of PR that is happening in St. Lucia today. Before I move on to that second topic, let me just take a word in from our listeners. You know, I like to give the listeners on the Facebook platform and the WhatsApp platform a voice. Somebody says, "Oh, happy you are here, my lady." I am happy too. Somebody says, "Here." Happy Tuesday, Angie and everyone. I heard PJP trying to speak against homicide like someone had a gun pointed at him. The fact that he spoke against it begs me to ask, was any of the victims his friend or relatives? Somebody said to me, "Go ahead and play the clip, dear. I drank some tea to calm me, so I can now listen to PJP." Wow. Prime Minister is truly determining economic policy here. Apparently, he's forcing persons who want to listen to him to drink calming tea. I guess that's healthy. Somebody says, "Wow, finally, he got a voice." Another says, "You have to speak of other countries. You refuse to mind your business to try to reduce the crimes in St. Lucia." No, you refuse to mind your business to try to reduce the crimes in St. Lucia. Youth economy cannot do anything to reduce the crimes. Somebody on here is saying, "Angie, please stop it. Thank you." Guys, we need to get the information. To get the information, we need to listen to the Prime Minister. Another says, "There you go with your senseless boasting, PJP. Your government has done the most, but it has been 5 years of you. Where are the results we all want? Do you realize that when you speak of the fellow countries, you make our country look like a clown, starting with you, who says it?" Voice of the people, somebody says. Well, Our motto is our motto is not the voice of the people for no reason. Somebody says the other countries that PJB spoke about are putting things in place to reduce the killings. Please do your job instead. Another says it's just jobs for the boys, then skin the citizens with taxes. Somebody says, does Sinusha have any media house? Another person is challenging me, saying data. Is anything done by this failed government informed by data gathering or any other scientific method? Every decision is based on vote gathering. Oh wow. Vote gathering, securing the victory and remaining in power. The state funds are being squandered for the benefit of the Labour Party. We know that Philip Pierre has never grasped the difference between state and party. St. Lucia and SLP, these latest hirings are merely rewards to party faithfuls. As much as I want to disagree, but I cannot disagree with the voice of the people. Somebody here is saying, I forgot to greet you, Angie, before commenting. Warm greetings to you and to Fire FM. Thank you very much. Somebody on the WhatsApp platform is chiming in. The person says, Philip Pierre speaks nothing of consequence, nothing of substance, and always passing the buck and laughs like a hyena. Man, give yourself a break. Like I said, the voice of the people. Now, I must say, and I've said this all the time, if it looks like a duck, it acts like a duck, it quacks. Chances are it is a duck. And this proposed hiring of 3 new truancy officers, I may not be an expert in the education system of St. Lucia, but I do believe the Principals Association, the Teachers Association, the Ministry of Education, they are all experts on the reality, the educational reality in St. Lucia. And I do believe that if there was a serious problem with truancy in St. Lucia, while the Minister of Education might stay silent, I do believe the ministry, the chief education officer, the district education officers, these individuals who are lifelong educational professionals, they would be the first to come out and say to the public, this is what we are dealing with, and this is what we need rectified. Second of all, have you guys noticed the amount of PR that this government engages in? I was quite shocked when I heard the new versions of the I am the I in CIP advertisements, which, by the way, guys, advertising space is more expensive based on the listenership of the station that carries the advertisements. And these I am the I in CIP ads always play during the peak listening hours, prime time, which is extremely, extremely expensive, especially on the most popular stations. And now I've noticed a new trend, which I am going to share with you. Because like I said, we need to keep our eye on the prize. We need to ensure that we are not being taken for a ride by our government. I've noticed a new and very questionable trend. And this is that our government seems to be spending a lot of money in advertising. Excuse me. It gets really cold in here, guys. And these ads, they're not centered on providing any information to the public. They're simply persons telling you, oh, when I saw the government do this, I was so impressed. It seemed so good. I want to play one of these ads for you, just for you to hear. Now, these ads, I've noticed, are being run during the pre-cabinet press briefing. And these ads and the pre-cabinet press briefing is being aired on NTN. But if a government is working, if a government is doing a good job, shouldn't we see improvements on the ground? Shouldn't their work speak for itself? Shouldn't it be that the people of the country can attest to the work that is being done by our government, in that the electorate can see clearly what direction the country is moving in, what is being done, what improvements are there. A change is made in their quality of life. And then we know for a fact that our government is working, these policies are yielding results. Or am I being too naive? Am I being naive, say Nusha, in that I believe that the government should not have to spend taxpayers' money or spend money advertising what they are doing? It should be clear to the naked eye. We should be able to see it. Am I wrong in assuming this? Because I don't understand. And before, I don't want you to have any question as to what I am thinking. I really want to play this ad for you. But before that, somebody is chiming in. The person says, good afternoon, Miss Angie. I know of a gentleman, Mr. Tutuyut, and I do know Mr. Tutuyut very well, who was a very good truancy officer. I think he retired just about 2 years ago. I'm also aware that there are quite a few cases, Angie. It may surprise you. This is factual. We need truancy officers. My sister is a principal, and I have another sister who is a teacher. For the record, I was also a teacher years ago. We can ask questions and get it clarified, but there's an issue. I can also contact Mr. Tutuyut and get the information so we can understand the problem. And I would appreciate that. Listen, I'm not saying that there aren't kids who are not being sent to school. What I am questioning is whether or not there has been such an uptick that should warrant the Prime Minister making an immediate addition of 3 new truancy officers. Not saying there's not a problem. Not saying that there are kids who are kept from school. I'm pretty sure there are. But what does it say about our country? What does it say about Philip J. Pierre's leadership? That is the bigger question. Because if it is that there has been a serious uptick in truancy in the past 5 years, then I believe that Philip J. Pierre should take this as an indication that his policies, his economic policies, need to be reworked. On the other hand, if it is that there is no serious uptick in truancy in the past 5 years, then that means that Philip J. Pierre is squandering taxpayers' money and providing jobs for the boys. So which is it? Is it that your economic policies are a failure? Or is it that you, as the Prime Minister, is squandering taxpayers' money on providing rewards for your faithful? If it is that there is an ongoing problem and that you need to maybe provide a little more assistance to the department, you want to strengthen it, all well and good. I'm not saying that it's not necessary. What I am saying is give us the proof so that we can ascertain what the problem really is. Where is the data that has led to this realization that this is where the country's money would be best spent? And as soon as you can provide the data that supports this, I have absolutely no problems with supporting that decision. I simply want the information so that I can make up my own mind about the issue. Simple. Not denying there's a problem, but I want to know how bad it is, and I want to know the root cause. And it is my right as a citizen, as a taxpayer, to have this information readily available to me. Not denying anything, I just want to understand the problem, the nature of it, and how bad it is. But back to the ads. Somebody says, wow. Somebody says, Angie, I am tired of listening to those press briefings. If I want to look at comedy, I would go to the Checker shows. Wow. Somebody says, the journalists just laugh with the PM instead of asking the pertinent questions. Troopston, Another person says this is another job like the public prosecutor. Another says that's a PR government to fool the foolish whilst the sorry, let me read that again. That's a PR government to fool the foolish whilst the economy remains and feels comatose, stagnant, dead. No movement at all. Another person says St. Lucians living on the island, make up your minds to make it easier on our St. Lucians living abroad to come home permanently. Example, healthcare, crime, and otherwise. I never left my beautiful Helen, never to come back and retire. I love my beautiful Helen and our people. Another says, Angie, if they pay so much elsewhere to play their ads, I think that you should get paid to play the ads as well. Somebody says, but they want their hackers to see my government is working. That's the reason they are advertising. And it says it is not being naive. The smokescreen and flashing mirrors are still there. Someone says, Angie, don't play the ad. Just tell us what it says. We're not giving them any free publicity. Another says, PJP, we have vacancies to investigate government and making government positions redundant. Somebody on the WhatsApp platform is saying, hold on. Afternoon, Angie. Since we have missed 2 Mondays of full disclosure, can Mr. Chico have a show on Wednesday or Thursday or Friday? Well, I will invite you to wait until Mr. Chico gets here and ask him that yourself. Somebody else here is saying, I'm telling you, Miss Angie, you'll be surprised at the number of children who do not attend school for one reason or another. The problem has been there for years. I disagree with you on that matter. I know better, respectfully. Well, again, like I said, I do not doubt, and you are free to disagree with me. This is why we have a discussion on this platform. I have no doubt that there is an issue of truancy in St. Lucia. No doubt. I'm not saying that it's not a problem that needs to be looked into. What I am saying is this. We've had this truancy department for as long as I have been alive. We've had an issue of truancy from the days of sugar cane. At that time, though, we didn't have many schools, but with the advent of the UWP administration in, when they first came into office after independence, former Prime Minister, father of the nation, Sir John Compton, he made sure that there were enough schools. We even had a shift system, I'm guessing, to allow for the older kids to still attend class and provide much needed help to their struggling families. So they come to school in the morning, and in the afternoon they would go on the farm, or they come to school in the afternoon and in the morning they would go on the farm, help with chores before they go to class. But either way, there was a balance. I get it. Banana days, kids were pulled out from school. I am saying, in this current economic climate, I don't doubt that there are mothers, single mothers, who may be keeping their older kids at home to care for younger kids, so in order to allow them to go to work. There are several situations that can lead to children being pulled out of school. I'm not naive enough to know or to believe that every parent can afford to send their child to school every single day of the school year. There might be times when certain parents would not be able to afford sending their kids to school and would say, well, today I'm not sending you to school because I have no money. No, I have nothing to put in your lunch bag. I'm not denying that at all. There may be a myriad, a plethora of reasons why children might not attend school. I'm not saying that it doesn't exist. I'm not that naive or out of touch. What I am saying is that if it is that there is a serious uptick in truancy that merits the addition of 3 new officers immediately, when we've had 1 officer dealing with the situation for upwards of 2 years. Because if I am to count based on Vanguard's tenure as the Commissioner of Police, Commissioner Peleus departed the commissionership, I don't know if that's a word, at least 3 years ago. Because Vanguard was first given a 1-year contract, and then he was given a 2-year contract, and now he has been reinstated for another 2 years. So going on 4 years, we've had 1 individual acting as truancy officer for the entire country. We've not heard of a major uptick in truancy, because I do believe that with all the talk about classrooms being empty, with all the talk about persons' birth rates being down, with all the talk about NIC set to go belly up in the next couple of years, somewhere in all of that dialogue, it would have come to light that, listen guys, the reason why these classrooms are empty is because there is a massive uptick in truancy. We have a principals association. We have a teachers union. We have a chief education officer. We have several district education officers. We have teachers. We have principals. We have people who understand the importance of an educated country. In my opinion, one or more of these individuals would have already sounded the alarm. I can remember when I served as a field nutrition officer for the Ministry of Health back in 2009. I remember very clearly my first PTA meeting as the nutrition officer, which was held at the Monrepo Primary School. I remember the principal of that school at that time saying to the mothers and fathers gathered at the meeting that pretty soon the school might have to close, because every year registration is fewer and people in the community are not having kids. 2009 was decades ago. or in 2026. That school is closed currently and has been closed for years. Since 2009, this principal was sounding the alarm that people are not making enough children. That school has been merged with the Patience Combined School. So I am saying that if there was a serious uptick in truancy in St. Lucia that merits the addition of 3 more, not 1 to help pick up the slack, but 3 more truancy officers, this points to a serious problem, a serious uptick. What I am saying is, if that were the case, one of these individuals, the Principals Association, the Chief Education Officer, even a District Education Officer, the President of the Teachers Union, somebody would have already come out and sounded the alarm, because the conversation has been that persons are not making enough children. One of these consummate professionals, experienced individuals, experienced educators who care about the education of the nation would have come out to the public and said, it may be that the birth rates are falling, but the reasons why our classrooms are empty is because we've had a serious uptick in truancy. For the Prime Minister, I'm very concerned. What has brought on this concern? We have a caller on the line. Good afternoon to you, caller. You are on the air.
Yes, Angie, good afternoon. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
It's good, Angie. And Angie, I've been listening to the conversations that have been taking place on the radio. I called Timothy as well today, and it is based on what we've been speaking about. Mm-hmm. And we've been speaking about the silent genocide that has been happening in our country. Mm-hmm. And I told you the last time, it was only 1,300 babies that born this year, and that same year it was 1,500 people who died. Mm-hmm. And at the same time, the Philip J.P. administration is sending thousands of passports, while the native solution is being extinct. That's why I always ask myself: Is this what is happening to us solutions? How can I put it? Is it really happening for just happening sake, or is it a fundamental thing that the goal is to extend the solution race? I do not know. Because I'll tell you something, Angie. Mm-hmm. I had a family member of mine, 1 year old, the boy get a brain tumor. You know what happened, Angie?
He passed on?
Just to release the fluid from the brain, he passed away. Yeah. Just to release the fluid from the brain. We had to rent equipment from Benson. They didn't have time for the equipment. By the time the equipment reached the solution, the young man died.
Wait. Stop. Are you saying that the family had to bear the cost of renting this specialized equipment from another country?
That's it, Angie. That is very correct. That is very, very correct. And Angie, that is a sad reality that's in Benson. We were the greatest economy in the Eastern Caribbean for many years, and today we reached to a situation where we have to be importing water from Dominica and importing medical equipment from sister islands that we far ahead of them. And that is a sad predicament. This is really happening, you know. Yeah. This is not a movie that is playing. Nobody in Philip J.P. It's a movie. Maybe. But people are actually dying, and that's why I told you, gun violence, homicides are one aspect of the deaths in St. Lucia, you know.
Hello, caller, the word is homicide. I don't know why people keep saying homicide. It's homicide.
Homicide.
Yeah, homicide is the Prime Minister's word.
Instead of homicide, I would say a genocide.
Well, if you say genocide, then it makes it more drastic. So just say killings, say deaths, say murders.
We're not in there.
Right.
But for me, it's the silent genocide. For me, that is how I see it. Because my family have been a victim of a young family dying at the hospital
Yeah.
for negligence. I wouldn't blame the nurses or the doctors, I'll blame the state for not providing the equipment and the necessary doctors to provide those types
Specialized
of
services.
operations.
Yeah.
And another thing about that, I'm just staying on that point. For so many years, we have the Cubans here. I always ask myself, the Cubans are under the worst embargo for 50 years, and yet still they can export thousands of doctors, not just for St. Lucia, for the entire Eastern Caribbean and Latin America, and fill in all gaps that is not filled in. And we now in St. Lucia for 40 years talking about universal healthcare and the Kenyan Anthony cannot have our own doctors and surplus doctors that we can export doctors to get money from that the legal way. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
And the situation we're in right now, Angie, I told you, me as a young man growing up in this country, is a scarce commodity. You understand? That is why I always speak, because you never know tomorrow might just be that day. That's how things are happening in this country very fast. People are dying very, very fast. And not just anybody, but young people are dying very fast. I watched a video of an elderly man, and he said he's a Labour supporter. What's your housing conditions? You understand, Angie? What I'm trying to tell you there, people have been living in those dilapidated homes, those wooden houses, like what I see on the television there. You can say maybe about 70% of the island, Angie. So, and rent now is already $1,500 for a single bedroom apartment.
Yep. That is quite correct.
Now? For me, my first thing I would give to St. Lucia as a United Workers Party, and we did that. If when we win that in our election, housing, because housing is the first thing that can get somebody out of poverty. The first thing that can secure family planning, because if you secure a house, then you don't have to worry about nothing, You and your man in your house. If you want to make a child, adopt a child or something. But if you live at your mother home, your mother have a man there, your mother have another child there, you don't have your girlfriend there, you have to try and make another child at your mother home again. To strain the house already, and the houses that are all wooden, dilapidated homes, 70% of solution homes. The cost of living is so high. That is what we young people thinking about, man. If they tell us, well, all right, if you make a child, they're giving you a piece of land one time, and they're giving you the access now, so you can take a loan to build a house, people will start making children. We don't have no houses in the country. They have watch every country boasting about housing. All Labour Party country, from Dominica to St. Kitts to Peru, speaking about housing, Angie. Richard Frederick, when I come on talking about housing, I listened to Richard Frederick this morning and Yadi giving people make instead of talking about how many units we have built for solutions. You understand? Those people about how much workers they're going to build for tourists, and they're not talking about how much housing, because the structure to build a hotel and the structure to build a apartment building, Angie, is the same thing, Think about it.
But isn't that the same Richard Frederick that promised us condos?
That's it, Angie.
Where exactly are those condos? So he was on the show talking about housing. What exactly was he saying about housing?
No, he wasn't speaking about housing. That's to show you how sad it is. He was speaking about making somebody and fair friend and this and that and all those nonsense that don't making no sense, and people still living in dilapidated homes. Let's let the hurricane pass there. All of our houses will somehow falling down. I pray to God that will happen. But none of those houses right now in 2026 can withstand any hurricane right now there. All of them will fall, Angie. Because you know why? We never had for 10 to 15 years, we never had no serious housing minister. We had a housing minister that was developing his pocket. Allegedly, I would say clearly on your show, he was maybe developing his pockets because he has a housing property going up at Moses Place in Bottom Wash area there. You understand? My point is, Angie, young people at my age, those guys don't care about, those politicians don't care about us. if those politicians had care about us, and we would have adequate housing so that we can raise good families and not come and raise families in those ghettos and not come and raise families in those abandoned houses. You know, at the NG, I was escorting some tourists to see some parts of the island, and one of the ladies asked me, but are all those houses I'm seeing alongside the road abandoned? Those wooden structures, are they abandoned? People just go and leave them there?
Wow.
I tell her, no, there are people living in there. Most of those houses have people living in there. She said, oh my gosh, this is really the condition of how people live in? I tell her, yes, my lady, this is the condition of how people live in. I'm not a liar, and Jay. I do not hate my country. When those guys are living in the nice villas, being built in the nice villas, then they're suffering. They're suffering. The floorings are not good. The house is leaking. The roof is changing. There is serious development for them to get serious children, for them to fill up the classrooms again, Angie. That is what we want. We do not want those half-ass guarantees, and yet still young people cannot find a way out in St. Lucia. It is no young person right now cannot afford to go and get the bank to go and take a loan for $400,000, Angie. Which young people live in school right now, or 5 to 10 years in a job that can go and get the bigger job that can do. Us young people, we want a car. That's one thing we want. A car or a bike.
We want our own home. We want to be able to travel. We want to afford things.
You understand?
And it's listen.
I don't want to be living in survival mode.
I was speaking.
I want abundance in everything.
Speaking.
That is the point.
Just thinking of what you were saying. I was speaking to someone who was born here but has lived overseas for a long time, and this individual was asking me, what is the average pay for certain jobs in St. Lucia? What is the average entry level pay? And the person was asking about a media position, and I said, well, $1,200 to $1,500. And this person was quite shocked and surprised that that was the pay, because to somebody who lives in a country like the United States or the UK or Canada, that's peanuts. You know, that's what interns get. But the reality is, this is the average pay for young professionals in St. Lucia. And those who get more than that are those who have traveled overseas or gone to college and they have a bachelor's degree or they have a master's degree and so on and so forth. And these people still, I don't earn like $5,000 a month. They got $3,000 and so on and so forth. Maybe 3,500 if they're lucky. You understand?
I'll ask you a question, Angie. If you can ask your colleagues, young people who rent in houses and things, because I'm renting as well. And I was renting a single bedroom apartment at a time at $1,800 a month.
You're right.
But I have a partner.
And that is more. And let's put it into context. That is a lot more than some families have to live on a monthly basis.
But exactly. And the next thing I'm telling you about that, Angie, if an average solution pay is $1,000 to $1,200, and if they get a promotion within 3 to 4 years, they'll get 1,500. And then how are they going to be paying a one-bedroom apartment? Your whole 100% go to your salary to your rent alone, you know.
Just right.
Because remember, you have to work, like, for example, how much percentage of your salary is actually going to paying bills and whatnot, and then you have the recreational part of it. That you want to go out, you want to go to grocery Friday night.
Listen.
Or you have a people. You understand?
There are so many young people in St. Lucia that cannot afford to move out of their parents' home. There are so many young families in St. Lucia with two partners. Listen to me, two partners, both working, and still they struggle on a day-to-day basis. And this is not a joke. This is not a fabrication. This is not. This is the truth.
It is true. So where those guys I want to talk about, they're not teaching babies, all them different things, and then we have a murder rate at that high. You know, I'm saying to myself, for this generation, those that support that is really something against the solution, man.
And here's another aspect to it, caller. Are you aware that right now, persons cannot engage in a secondary form of income generation? Because think about it. There are many St. Lucians who have a job, but they may have a small shop, a little bar, a tree, or a little hustle where, you know, they have a little fast food joint where after work they go and they try to generate some income to make ends meet. With the current crime rate in St. Lucia, while these activities might be necessary for you to survive, they have become very high risk. You open yourself up to risk of robbery, risk of you getting hurt, risk of individuals finding whoever it is that they have a problem with frequenting your institution and then coming and spraying the place with bullets. Risk of people coming, fights breaking out, and other people getting hurt, and your establishment being sued for lack of security. These activities that would have helped you go the extra mile and just live comfortably, not luxuriously, you know, comfortably, have now become high risk. And it seems the Prime Minister of St. Lucia is not aware of these serious circumstances. He's talking about truancy.
Before I go, Angie, what I always say as a youth fighting for this generation is that right now we have to figure out a way that we can call an early election to really save this country. That is the only way. Because, you know, what I will always say, the battle might be lost, but the war will always continue. Righteousness versus evil will always continue. And I always say, St. Lucia is the Holy Land, because for the two most powerful empires at the time, the British Empire with the St. Manassets and the French Empire, for 14 wars. That's over 100,000 troops for each war. And all the brave ancestors who went after the French Revolution, who got independence or when slavery was abolished, went up in the hills in Soufriere and across the island fighting again for freedom for this country. Angie, the people have to rise, Angie. And if the people will not think for themselves, then God forbid I tried to warn them. I tried, and I will still fight until my last breath, because I'm a part of the ancestors that fought for freedom for this country. And it cannot be at this time when we're supposed to be at our best excellence. And our young people are doing extremely well, not 2 Nobel laureates, not 3. We're supposed to have 10 Nobel laureates by now. We're supposed to have more faster people learning. This is what we have. For all those who have died already, and all those who sit on our borderly, the hundreds of those that sit on our borderly, freedom will be one day. Have a blessed one, Angie.
Thank you very much for that, caller. Always very informative, this young man, when he calls the show. Somebody says, Angie, this Boy Scout of a minister said that he's the most ready to be Prime Minister, but I am realizing that considering all of his political experience, Donald Trump is a much better politician than PJP, in spite of the fact that Trump is not groomed for politics. Wow. Somebody says, G, understood what you are saying, and you are so right. Your explanation is so right. Don't let people try to make you think like them. Well, everybody has their own way of thinking, and I welcome different aspects. Somebody says, brother, you should have mentioned that sad situation on Newspin when you called. This would have definitely made a bigger dent in the bucket skulls. Well, somebody says, caller, that's the people who voted for this Labour government. They don't want to be better. They just want quick money. But it has to be that the country's funds are being spent in a way that benefits the country. When we have all of these difficulties, all of these situations to contend with, it begs the question, who is paying? Who is footing the bill for those ads? Those I am the INCIP ads, those new ads on the... People have told me not to play the ad, just describe it. Okay. There is an ad now for the MSME loan grant, and it's simply some individual saying, oh, when I heard about this, I was so excited. Then there's another ad for the youth economy. Oh, when I hear about this, I seem to notice, I'm noticing that whenever a policy has underperformed, I don't want to see fails, because again the Prime Minister said to us that, we have another call on the line, that just because something doesn't yield results doesn't mean it has failed. Good afternoon, caller, you are on the air.
Good afternoon, Angie. Good afternoon to your listeners.
Hi darling, how are you? It's been a while, I haven't heard this voice.
By the grace of God.
Oh,
I'm there, my love.
Okay.
Interesting topic from your last caller.
Mm-hmm.
But let me remind St. Lucians. I think we're doing a little too much talking. We need to remain quiet for a while. You know, there's a season for everything.
Mm-hmm.
There's a season for everything. And I want to call on the United Workers' Party supporters. There's a season for everything under God's sun. And I believe in my heart, after that 2025 general elections,
Mm-hmm.
the season is to remain quiet. We need to remain quiet. Because everything that is being said, I have heard it for the past 4 years, the past 8 years. There's not one thing that is happening in this country that the opposition did not explain to us from 2021 to 2025. And we are seeing it unfolding in 2026. But St. Lucian, you cannot push back on hate. There are times you have to let things unfold.
Mm-hmm.
Let me tell you, if you see it was Sir John Compton that was in power there, in opposition,
Mm-hmm.
he would be going and digging yam in Maho. Sir John, they can tell me that election changed the hatred and everything. UWP, go and plant some yam. Go do your work. Pay your bills.
Are you advocating for backyard gardening now? For plant?
All that is possible. Let's
grow
get
what
our
you
hands
eat.
dirty.
Grow what you eat and eat what you grow, and watch what you eat and eat what you watch. Is that the direction?
You see me, Angie, I don't have time for garbage. You see garbage stuff? When people have to put on suits and be men to take on serious problems that is affecting the country, I don't entertain garbage. Now you see Philip Pierre, what that spews out of his mouth is pure garbage. Okay? Now I'm asking UWP supporters and the concerned citizens of this country, the youth, the middle-aged, the older ones, the rich, the poor, who have an understanding as to where this world is headed to. In St. Lucia, stay focused, go to work, pay your bills. And I want the UWP base to go back and think of Sir John George Melvin Compton. The people wanted labor. They chose labor. And I know in my head, they stole the election with lots and lots and lots of monies on the ground. We all saw it. We saw it. They can say what they want. Money was in play on the ground. They did what they did. They said SLP was the champion. Okay, let Labour govern.
But are they governing, caller? Should we not have...
That is the problem, Angie.
No, but you need
governance for them is to destroy the core of the country.
Hold
That's
on,
what
caller.
they know.
Hold on, caller. Let me ask you a question. You're a very discerning individual, and you would know that our Constitution was developed around a system of checks and balances. Are you saying that we, the concerned citizens, should desist from engaging this system of checks and balances, that we should allow because a majority of St. Lucians decided that they wanted to stick to the labor ideology, whether they were paid, whether they were coerced, whether they were frightened, whether they chose to do this themselves? But the results of the no, just listen to me. The result of the election has given them seemingly a massive mandate. Are you saying that we, the opposition, which comprises of over 30,000 individuals, should simply allow this government to operate with impunity, unchecked, without demanding that they do so in the best interest of all St. Lucians, not just some? Because I'm asking the question.
Again, I am telling us, let us go back in the brains of Sir John George Melvin Compton. Let us try to go back in his brain. I'm not telling you I don't call the talk shows. I am enjoying it. Okay? I am enjoying the callers and everything. Let us go back into Sir John's head. I was a little girl, and now I am saying I know why God put my mind and everything on politics for me to speak now. Again, I am telling you, if Sir John Compton was alive and he was in opposition with the UWP party, and they put a mic to his face and tell him, what does he have to say about this malice that is happening in the country? You know what he would say? We just had an election. The people chose them. Let them govern. Let us work on building our base. Let us do what we have to do. Let the people squeeze. Let them squeeze. There are certain times you have to pin somebody for them to behave themselves, for them to check themselves with the noise, and that is what Labour Party wants. They want the opposition to make the noise. And remember, Labour is better at making noise and convincing people. The machinery is there for that. Let me tell you, what Philip Pierre is doing there, it's in the mind, in the heads of the people it is, That's a dangerous political game this man is playing there, It's pure evil. He is directly in the heads of the poor people especially. That is where he's living. It's a cult. And to overcome that, we need to remain quiet. Let the politicians do their thing. If they have to speak, they speak. But you see us, don't push fire with fire. If we cannot do it as a united force, where everybody wants to come out and go on the street, of 50,000 or 40,000 people to go out on that street, then that will help. But let Labour squeeze the people. For instance, look at the gas prices. All the time, a barrel of gas was under $60. The opposition have been sounding the alarm that Philippines had no reason to raise the gas prices on us. Remember that?
Mm-hmm. I remember.
They had marches, they demonstrated. No. Labor hand, they want their taxes because that's all they know what to do, how to do. That's all they know to do is to take the poor people's money. Taxes and taxes and taxes. And they sit, their legs crossed, and just take our money because the people are quiet, they're not speaking, so more we take. We can take, they love us, we can take. You know what I'm telling you? And then, what did we see? Gas is at 16, they put it to $18. Philippines capped the gas when gas prices and G was beneath 60 US a barrel at 16 something cents EC. So what you telling me? St. Lucians don't know $16 is more than $13.95.
Mm-hmm.
The teachers in the schools and the professors, they're not teaching the children that $16 is more than $13.95. So right now, what is going to happen? There's a war. Everybody knows oil that's involved. The prices will go up because everyone jacking up the prices already. Because of Philippines and Labour's wickedness and gift, what is going to happen?
Gas at the pump, fuel at the pump will go up. Cooking gas will go up. Cost of goods will increase. Cost of services will increase because
And who's going to pay for that?
the minute the cost of fuel at the pump increases,
That is it.
production costs for companies for electricity generation will go up. That will be passed on to the consumer.
I know.
Once the cost of electricity goes up, the cost of water production, water purification will go up. That also will be passed on to the consumer. Once the cost of utilities go up, once the cost of electricity goes up, the cost of providing internet services will go up.
Everything, sweetheart, will go
And
up.
once that goes up, every other service will continue to go up. And
so
the thing is, even when those prices go down,
it will not change.
The cost will not change.
Nothing is going down.
It's just going to stay up and it's just going to keep going up. Yeah.
And the UWP politicians have been saying that to St. Lucians all the time. Regardless who they have in leadership, they have been preaching that to St. Lucians. When a government raises taxes and prices and inflation, it will not go down.
Yeah.
Under no other government. So what is happening in this country? In fact, let me finish with the gas prices at $16 and so. Angie, when they raise the gas, maybe it might be about $16. So probably maybe they might put it to $20. That is my estimation. I put it at 20. I want the Labour Party supporters. I'm not speaking to the UWP and the foolish UWPs that are, I don't know, they cannot think.
Mm-hmm.
Do you all know that the politicians will not be paying for gas?
No, their gas comes from the taxpayers' coffers.
Our pockets.
Mm-hmm.
While Pierre on a podium every day, just laughing for y'all, while the world is in a crisis, he just coming, giggy. Reporters laughing at him. The man not saying anything that is of importance that can help the country and the poor people in the country. When you raise, Philip, when you raise the gas prices, how many of the poor people know that you Philip Pierre, and your 16 and your 17 big boys, they are not going to the pumps to pay for a liter, a gallon, nothing. They're not paying for gas. Pierre, you I am speaking to. You're not paying for it. It's on the backs of the poor people that is already struggling to buy their own. They have to purchase yours too. After we buy ours, we have to pay for yours too. The reporters that are in the briefing room laughing with fear. You have to pay for your own and pay for theirs too.
Mm-hmm.
And they are not
That is
doing
very true.
anything
Very
to
true.
help you all.
Yeah.
They're not doing anything to help us. Stop fooling the poor people and the poor people. You see a poor man, I love a poor man. The only thing is that they're so hungry, they cannot think. You know when you're hungry, you cannot think?
That is true.
When
That
you're
is true.
hungry, I'm a poor woman myself, but my head is on my shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to let anybody bribe me. Nobody in this world cannot bribe me. I haven't seen the person yet to do that. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And I am calling on the poor people of St. Louis. I'm not calling on Labour Party, Flabo. Make a politics as well side. Say Mona. And think of our interests. God bless you all with a leader. We're talking about housing. And you remember the last time we saw a housing project undertake in this country?
Well, the government did promise us that the Shock Housing Project and the Talvan Housing Projects were coming soon.
Leave that there. Leave that there. Leave that. Rest that on the
But they
wall.
did say coming soon, so maybe they just have not
Rest that
arrived.
on the wall. We're going back to 1997. Okay? Let's Shock and Talvan there. They just come.
Mm-hmm. I believe
1997, when Kenny Anthony came in power, the last housing project we have, I think, what did they do it?
I think that would be the one they proposed in Marigo, but that never really took off. In fact, I don't think I know anyone who got a house there. Maybe one person. I don't remember.
Okay. We cannot remember, but all the housings came, the housing complex, the nice houses, the big houses you see our middle class people living in was done under a United Workers Party government.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? After that, we have never seen that from 1997.
Mm-hmm.
Fast forward to 2016.
Mm-hmm.
We go in there. We go in there now.
Mm-hmm.
St. Lucians. Housing supposed to be one of the number one thing on the list of a government.
True.
Because it will eradicate poverty.
Mm-hmm.
It will eradicate poverty. Proper housing will eradicate poverty. We're not talking about the plywood, the infected plywood that Philip Pierre and Labour have been given to the people for eons, from the time of when I wasn't born, Labour.
Mm-hmm.
Plywood alone, that's what y'all deserve. Plywood alone, while the hierarchy of the Labour Party building bricks and concrete. But you, the poor man, they send you and tell you eyes in CIP. Infected plywood. When the hurricane is a category 5, your roof gone. You ever heard a minister or government roof fly?
Not that I've been aware of, but I have not been paying attention.
All right, it's not flying. Because if it ever went off, we would have seen it on our news.
Mm-hmm.
They ain't going nowhere. All landslide is poor people. House going poor people. The same poor people that is getting dressed and go and say a whoosh, rally, and putting you first. Let me tell you, even umbrellas they're giving them at house.
Oh yes. I see the umbrellas, I see the bags, I see the shirts.
Yes, that's their house.
I even believe some of them, I think I may have noticed some shoes and skirts. I'm wondering if they're handing out underwear as well. Would you? Let's leave that alone. Let's leave that one alone.
Leave that alone, Angie. Lord Cote.
Lord Cote.
Okay, we go fast forward. We're back to business.
Yeah.
2016. The only government from 1997 to 2016, we're going now to 2018 because when Mr. Shastri was elected, because remember something happened.
Something happened.
No financial institution could not give St. Lucia no money to help the poor people survive in this country. The damn treasury was broke.
Mm-hmm.
That is evidence to tell any wise person, I'm not saying educated person, because you can be educated with no wisdom, you're a fool. That statement Kenny Anthony made there would tell any wise individual that our treasury was broke in 2015.
Mm-hmm.
It was broke. Because why would I give you money and you cannot pay me back? That means you didn't have money to show where we could give you a loan. Your account was dry. And if you want a loan, you have to show some form of collateral that the people can pump the money to you. Simplicity pateni aye. Alan Shasney came as Prime Minister of St. Lucia. He took St. Lucia out of the grey list, the black list, the pink list, the purple list. He put St. Lucia back to where Barbados is now. Right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not about the people. You have to fix your country first and then the people will fall in line.
I believe Kenny Anthony at the time was told that he needed to, quote unquote, put his house in order.
Put his financial, not just his house, his financial house in order. So then again, more proof to tell you that our treasury was empty.
Yeah.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And Alan Shasney, that's why I tell you St. Lucia is a wicked nation. A wicked nation. And all of them know what Alan Shasney did for this country. All of them know. So Alan came, he took off St. Lucia from the grey list, the black list. You remember that? We saw the news.
Mm-hmm.
On list until we cleared. When I heard Mia Motley said, Barbados is no longer no list, I remembered Alan Shasney in 2017, 2018. That's what you call a great leader.
Mm-hmm.
But while Pierre and them laughing at Mia Motley pass up yes, say they don't pass up yes list. You only pass Koyo, you say Koyo blade. They can travel. I'm gonna say it in English. The Belgians could go where they want. There is no restriction on the Belgian passports. Not with the Belgians, Mia Motley will go and do nonsense and sell CIP, and you cannot manage a CIP. I always say there's nothing about CIP. It's the management of the CIP funds.
Mm-hmm.
That is where the problem is. But anyway, Alan came, he cleared. Alan cleared, he did this, okay. The little when they tell Alan, okay, we didn't know your plans would have worked. Well, okay, they called him back, they told him bring back, they opened the borrowing stream for St. Lucia.
Mm-hmm.
The time they opened that, and Alan, in fact, I wouldn't say Alan, and St. Lucia got the right to go back and borrow money. That is where the Labour Party came in full force on destruction. You hear what I'm telling you?
Mm-hmm.
If St. Lucians were studying the politics in St. Lucia, that is when I wasn't involved in it yet, sweetheart.
Mm-hmm.
I was always studying my country, studying the affairs of my country, studying the economy of this country, looking for a great leader from the time Sir John passed. That was me, searching. And when I saw what Alan did, I watched Labour. At that time, Richard Frederick came and he pushed up himself even more. And everybody, boy, we can borrow now. We can go inside there and do what we can do. And that was it. Then COVID came. Alan did a little borrowing. Praise God, he had time. COVID came. It went with 60% of the country's revenue. 60% of the monies in the treasury. COVID took that. So we had no money again. We had a little 40%. Right? Alan, with his leadership skills, he's not perfect. Alright? but he tried his darn best. He tried his darn best. And let me tell St. Lucians, God knows everything that he's doing. Because if it was Labour Party that was in office during the COVID, maybe just stones we would have had and politicians in that country.
God knows what he's doing.
I tell you, and he's always on time. And we have to sit back, St. Lucia. You have a heart. You cannot allow set a politician to put a whole country into poverty because they give you a little nice job for $1,200. Where they're taking you all? You cannot even pay extra lessons on that for your children. That is why it's the rich people children alone that exceeding in the country. Because you all don't have the means, the monies to take care of your own children. We have a heart. Let us use our conscience and emotion. We cannot sing the boat because of a political party to say, you lose, we in opposition, Labour win, Flamboyant stay there for 20 years, and the country is deteriorating.
Yeah.
The country is deteriorating. There is no movement. You can say what one Pierre can do all his PR and say the economy good and no. You are the human beings. We are the human beings walking and feeling the turf. We are the ones going in the stores. There is no economic movement in this country. St. Lucia now is the same as 2015 or worse when Kenny had it. But what is keeping Philip Pierre? They know that Philip Pierre cannot do the work, Angie.
Yeah.
So hence the reason the media is in their pocket. All the NGOs, all these people are supposed to speak up. They are quiet. Because they have been bought. The bribe. So he is weak. We have a weak leader. But if we stay quiet, we will hold on to the power.
So you're saying that in this case, let silence be golden.
Let silence be golden.
Okay.
St. Lucians. That you see we are in there. You see politics, they call it a game. But if you don't know how to play the game, it doesn't matter if you choose a side. And they cannot govern, my God. If once they cannot govern, your country is in problems.
Yeah.
Once they cannot govern St. Lucians, St. Lucians, do not do wickedness to your country and your families. St. Lucians, you all know the old St. George is not up to serve us in healthcare, St. Lucians. St. Lucians, when you, the poor people, go to the hospitals, you see what is happening. And the sad thing is that we're not getting the help, St. Lucians. We are dying. It's a genocide thing. You never see a minister on one of the beds and they say they don't have beds for them, St. Lucian. You cannot like a set of politicians that haven't got your DNA. These men and women don't have your DNA. And you love them more than your own families.
Caller, as much as I enjoy this conversation, I'm going to have to cut you short because it's time for us to take a quick commercial break. But thank you very much for your contribution and don't be a stranger.
Okay, Angie.
Have a wonderful afternoon. Thank you so much.
You too, my love.
Yeah, bye-bye. Guys, we need to take a quick commercial break at this point, and we will be right back.
You already know the power of Licks products on your clothes and household. You licked your whites and colored clothes, leaving them fresh and scented. You licked your dishes and left your hands protected with vitamin E. You licked your floors, even licked your toilet. Now we expand and bring you 3 new scents in our fabric softener: Balmy Sunshine, Summer Sunshine, and Thousand Flowers. And lick those stains off of colored clothes with Licks Color Safe Bleach. Licks went even further with Bodycare body soap bars in deodorant and antibacterial. So lick tiredness and bacteria out and refresh your tired body. Your product's giving you licks? Then choose Licks from Today Distribution Inc. Available at all leading supermarkets. You already know the power of Licks products on your clothes and household. You licked your whites and colored clothes, leaving them fresh and scented. You licked your dishes and left your hands protected with vitamin E. You licked your floors, even licked your toilet. Now we expand and bring you 3 new scents in our fabric softener: Balmy Sunshine, Summer Sunshine, and Thousand Flowers. And licks those stains off of colored clothes with Licks Color Scent Bleach. Licks went even further with Body Care Body Soap Bars in deodorant and antibacterial. So licks tiredness and bacteria out and refresh your tired body. Your product's giving you licks? Then choose Licks from Today Distribution Inc. Available at all leading supermarkets.
All right, guys, we are back and ready to go. And listen, this conversation that we're having about the state of the country, these conversations are necessary. Reminding the St. Lucian public of all that has gone before and all that is going on, it is a necessary. It might seem like we are repeating ourselves, and maybe the last caller was right in silence being golden. But I do believe that people need to be informed, and these pertinent issues need to be aired out in the public. I know some people might feel that, the UWP should continue to remain silent, and I am one of those that believe that, but I don't think that the opposition of this country should be left solely to the United Workers' Party. I don't believe that the caretaking of our country to ensure that, when I say caretaking, I mean ensuring that the public interest is served in everything, should be left to one entity. I believe this is a collective that the people, not the opposition, the people. This is a job for the people, the ordinary citizen, and not the leader of the opposition or the opposition ministers or the opposition senators. It is time that we, the people, take an active role in our own well-being. I want to jump onto the Facebook platform here. It says, okay, I will take your advice to keep quiet starting from today. Another person says, hey, things will get really bad and it will expose this government. Another says, St. Lucians haven't realized that we are in a recession. They are busy partying. Another says, from today, my only comments will be, Another person says, I second you, caller. Somebody else says, well said, caller. Another says, the gap between rich and poor is getting wider by the minute. And I am not on the side of the poor. Just know everyone have to carpool and start back taking bus. Well, I don't know. Another says, if we start agreeing with Labour's that their party is doing a good job, they will start speaking against their party because all they can do is oppose. Another says, the poor people will feel betrayed by the SLP government. It's just a matter of time because they are going to feel it the hardest. Another person said, oh, we have another caller on the line. Good afternoon to you, caller. You are on the air.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good and well. Angie, thank God I'm alive. And that's important.
Mm-hmm.
However, Angie, I need to sell my St. Lucian
Citizenship.
Mm-hmm.
You think they're going to allow you to do
that? I don't think anybody can stop me from selling my St. Lucian citizenship because we're selling our St. Lucian passports like hot bread to all kinds of criminals according to what the UK is saying. who have changed their names, etc., etc. So
You want to get in on the
I need to show
action,
myself.
Paula?
I need to switch. Anybody who wants a St. Lucian citizenship, I'll take yours and I'll give you mine.
Now, hold on, caller, hold on. Let me explain something to you. We don't condone ambush marketing here on Fire FM, mainly because we do need the revenue generated from ads. So if you have an ad, I mean, give a sister a call. Let me put that ad out there for you. You know.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, so if I want to do that, then I have to put out an ad. Okay.
Yes, yes,
I'll
you
have to
do.
organize that to Angie one way or the other. Hopefully, I can find the money to put out the ad because
Apparently, you want to be. Apparently, you want to be the I in CIP.
No, I'm not the idiot.
I didn't say that's what it meant.
I'm not the idiot. No. I'm not the idiot. If it's for another I, they want to give me some money, maybe I'll take it, but it would be unfair to the rest of the St. Lucian people. So I don't think any of us St. Lucians are the I's in CIP. I think the I's in CIP, and if we are the eyes in CIP, we're very blinded by what's happening. Our eyes are blind to what's really happening in CIP and what's happening with the CIP money. You understand?
Yeah, I do understand.
Maybe we are the eyes in CIP and we're so blind we cannot see what's happening with our CIP money. Okay? Now, Angie, I've discussed a whole lot of things today. And I heard you touch on housing.
Yeah.
And I noticed that in the Windjammer Gap, there is a huge, long building going up like a mini hotel. It's now seen from the road. It is now seen from the high road when you're driving, so you can't miss that building. I inquired as to who owned that building, and I was told it was an MP, the Castries Central MP. Now I'm saying, my question when I was told so is, but wait, people's salaries giving them that kind of money to build those big buildings, and I know people can take loans, but these buildings are going up and belongs to the MP. However, you talk about housing, we have seen 3 little huts. I mean, 3 little huts being built in Dennery after an MP, and I say an MP, was given, to my knowledge, $10 million for housing in 2021 or 22 or something of that sort. Angie, you there?
Go ahead, caller. We're listening to you. Go ahead.
Yes, so where's that $10 million? Because surely those 3 little huts did not cost $10 million. Then I'm hearing of people who are showing their homes on Facebook and stuff, all the people retired with sons, with children that are incapacitated, etc., begging for their homes to be refurbished or whatever. So I'm still asking, where did I beg to ask the Prime Minister and the Minister for Castries Central, what happened, or what did they do with the 10? Could you give us an account of what you did with the $10 million that the Taiwanese left behind for housing in St. Lucia that you were given? From what we understand, it was allocated, or was it allocated to you, Mr. MP Castries Central? Was that money allocated to you? And if it was, can you please give us an explanation as to what happened to that money? Because as far as I am aware, maybe I'm wrong, correct me if I'm wrong, the Thursday show is tomorrow, the day after tomorrow, correct me if I'm wrong. We haven't seen housing. However, I understand, Mr. MP, that you're building this mini hotel this little hotel-looking thing in the Windjammer Gap.
Well, I do believe
I don't know if that's the $10 million that's for housing for St. Lucians. Is it for St. Lucians that you're building this to house them, Mr. MP? Because if you are, you should let us know. There's some of us who are interested in buying a condominium.
Well, caller, I do believe that there was an explanation given by that self-same minister about that $10 million. If memory serves, I believe that the minister said that not all of the money was put towards housing, that some of the money went towards other initiatives, but I don't recall there being any further details or any breakdown of how much went into housing and how much was given back basically to the Ministry of Finance.
You said other initiatives. What other initiatives would you put housing monies into if the money was for housing? So when I saw that lovely building going up there with condos in it, I thought, hey, boy, there is the housing and the condos that we were promised that would have happened in cul-de-sac, but they brought it up north. And that's really good. I wonder if they sell them for $10,000 for one, because I'd like to get my hands on one of these condominiums. So, Mr. MP and Mr. Prime Minister, could you please let me know if what I see going up in Bradwash belongs to the people of St. Lucia or was built to resell built as a condos promised since 2021, because I would think that if it is, hey, happy hooray, we have a little bit more housing in St. Lucia.
Caller, I would like
to. I would like to know if it belongs to the people of St. Lucia.
Caller, are you sure you qualify for these houses? Because if you recall, the houses were earmarked for gas station attendants and supermarket workers.
You become a gas station attendant overnight, you know.
Are you planning on opening a gas station, caller?
I will become a gas station attendant overnight if it's a gas station attendant who qualify, because I need a condominium.
So you will go and look for a job in a gas station?
Yeah, so I can qualify to get myself a condo. I need one. So I'm asking whether, and I want an answer to that, I want a response to that. I am asking the MP and the Prime Minister, the MP for Central Castries and the Prime Minister, is the building in Bradwash, just as you enter the Windjammer Gap on the right-hand side, that mini hotel looking or condominium looking building, is that built from the $10 million that was allocated for housing since 2021-22. Please, sir, I ask you to make that clear to us and let us know how much one of those condos cost, and if we should go to the Ministry of Housing to put in our applications for these condos, because I'd like to apply for one, please, sir. Thank you very much. Failure to do so, sir, I would start thinking differently, and I think a lot of St. Lucians would as well. So please let us know. I would really, and this is not, I'm not joking, I'm not being sarcastic, I'm being truthful. Wow. Now, Mr. Philip J. Pierre, on the other hand, did you raise, the price of fuel? Have you raised the price of fuel at the pumps? I don't want to say I went to get fuel, because if I say that, they'll say I can't qualify for a condo. But I did go to the gas station.
Oh my God. You see why I love this job? So you want to protect your victory here, your future application for a condominium.
For my condominium, yes. So I went to a petrol station, and I saw somebody purchasing fuel, and apparently, the person was saying, but I was in a vehicle then, and the person was purchasing fuel, And the person was saying, but how come fuel is costing them more? Or half a tank, just under half tank, and now they're filling up and it's costing them just almost as much as filling up their tank. So has the price of petrol gone up, since of gas gone up? Let me say gas done. Has the price of gas gone up suddenly? Because I thought the pass-through mechanism was happening suddenly after a long time.
No, the pass-through mechanism should go through. I think the next time is the 28th of April. I may be wrong, but I believe.
Does the pass-through mechanism only work when? And that's my question. Does the pass-through mechanism only work when Philip J. Pierre decides to do it?
But it's supposed to work every 3 months. It's supposed to work every quarter, every 3 months, if I'm not mistaken. But we haven't had it because the price of fuel has been capped. So maybe we've lost track. Maybe we've lost track.
Oh, wait. Philip J. Pierre, when you came in, you found gas at the pumps, at the gas station, at $13, I think, and 95 or 75 cents.
$13.95.
$13.95 a gallon. So I say $14 because it's 5 cents short of 14. So $14 a gallon. You came in, Philip J. Pierre, when oil and gas on the world market was in the decline in the price. It was going down speedily. It was plummeting. It was just falling and falling. It was cheap. Gas was cheap. You came in 2021, JPA, and you raised the price of gas at $17.95. So let's round it off to $18 per gallon. That is $4 more than it was being sold when gas was $107 at the time, being sold to us at the $14 per gallon. But you got it plummeting, going down, low at $60 a barrel, $57 a barrel, Philip J. Pierre, and you had us paying $18. Then you went to $17.50 or $17.65 or $17.50, I think. Then I guess people are still clamoring, and the people start tying the little orange things around their vehicle side mirrors and stuff. Remember that little orange ribbon? Okay. So then he came after a while. He said, you know what? Give them a break. $16.50, insulting us and our intelligence. And all that time, fuel is going down, $60 a barrel, $59 a barrel. And then finally went down to $16 a barrel, $16 a gallon. We should not have been paying that kind of monies for fuel when fuel was going down, when he came and met it at $14 when it was sky high. So all that monies that you collected, Mr. JP, today, although Iran does not sell us fuel, Iran does not sell us oil or gas. Today, because there's a little war and whatever is going on, and then people want to up the price of their fuel and whatnot, you telling me that all these monies you have collected will not cushion the blow that you gave us solutions from 2021 to 2026?
Hold on, caller.
You heartless.
Now, caller, I cannot allow you to cast aspersions on the character of the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister has said that now that the price of fuel is skyrocketing, now the true benefits of the cap and all the elevated gas prices that he has put us through previously, now we will reap the benefits. He said,
but he's lying
hold on, caller.
He's lying to us.
Hold on, caller. He said for the next 3 weeks, and by the way, I think this week is the last week of the 3 weeks. I'm just saying that the price of fuel will remain at $16. So you have what? A few more days to enjoy the benefits.
So why is the price of fuel being changed on us when Philip J. Peck collected $4 from 2021 to 2026 in excess of $4 per gallon of fuel from St. Lucian people who purchase fuel? Why is he coming and tell us that the price of gas is going up, so he has to bring it up? He has already overcharged us for 5 years.
Well,
Caller,
according to the Prime Minister, and this is his own personal view, the Prime Minister wants us to believe. Hold on. The Prime Minister wants us to believe that he has the gift of premonition, and he has the gift of he inherited some skills from Madame Cleo. You remember Madame Cleo, right? And
just called Miss Cleo?
Yeah, Miss Cleo. And
yeah, but Miss Cleo wasn't telling people them things.
Hold on, you don't know what, but that's what Miss Cleo had. But the Prime Minister wants us to believe that, in his own way, he had a premonition that there would be war. And so, in order to protect us, he raised the price of fuel to cushion us later. I'm sorry, that didn't even make sense in my head. I was just trying something. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Exactly.
That didn't even make sense. I was trying. I tried.
The price of fuel to cushion us later, and now that the price of fuel on the world market is going up, he's going to raise it again, so we have no cushion. He pulled the cushion from under our backsides.
I think maybe the cushion has gotten flat.
On the hard concrete.
I'm not sure what happened to the cushion. Maybe the cushion, we've been sitting on it for 4 years, so maybe that cushion has dry rotted and now we need a new cushion. Now is the hard floor. I don't know.
The cushion was the cushion was like a balloon, and he just push a needle in it, a pin.
Oh.
He stick a pin in it, and poof. So we fall right on our backside. So that's what the Prime Minister of St. Lucia has done to us. Mr. Pierre, you are lying to us. You have lied to us bold-facedly. And allow me to say lie, Angie, because when the price of fuel was going down, St. Lucians, especially drivers and owners of motor vehicles, when the price of fuel was going down from 2021 to 2026, before this Iran war, this Prime Minister had us pay sky-high prices. I think that's the highest we ever paid for fuel in St. Lucia. See my mati, di my mati.
But here's another interesting. I have a question, caller. Do you remember back when, according to the Country and Western song, back when gas was $13.95 a gallon? Do you recall all the protest action? Do you recall the hue and cry?
I remember SLPs, a whole set of people on the street in Castries. I think they even take a knee or something.
Do you recall
their movies? Move your foot on our neck or whatever they were saying.
The president of the gas station owners association, I don't know if there is such a thing, but I do know there is some sort of some sort of body which governs gas stations and so on and so forth.
But there was a specific gas station owner who said to me, the right hand or the left hand of the Prime Minister.
Maybe both hands. We don't know. But here's the thing. Do you recall that this self-same individual, president of Gas Stations Anonymous, I don't know what it's called. I don't remember. It's been so dormant that I no longer remember what the association is called. But this individual was on the news day in and day out, complaining about the price of fuel, complaining about sales being down, complaining. People were complaining, people were complaining, people were complaining. People were even complaining about the fact that the roads on the island were being maintained, and the slogan was Mun Paka Maji Shime. I'm sure you recall that. So now that gas is $16 a gallon and projected to be raised in the coming week or so, what happened? Where are these individuals?
I have not heard the man's voice since 2021, since the price of gas went up. I have not heard when gas was going down on the world market. Apparently, St. Lucia was the only place in the Caribbean where gas was being sold at a higher price than the rest of the Caribbean islands, because our sister islands next door, St. Vincent, Barbados, Grenada, Antigua, they were selling gas at $13 and $14. Even $12, 12 something, 13 something a gallon, whilst we were here paying $17.95, $18, $17.50, $17, $16.50.
But
And
where,
these people were paying
where is
much
the
less again.
NCO?
So where you want me to call the man name?
Where is the NCOPT, the National Council on Public Transportation?
Could I call somebody's name?
No, not. You can call their name when you hang up the call, but not while you are on air. But I'm saying, where are these?
I can call somebody by their first name, can't I?
No, you can.
Well, lots of
You
people call
you
that-
can you can
call
text
that
it.
in.
No, you can text it to me, but you cannot say it aloud on air. I'm saying, caller, where are all of those individuals? Where have all the protesters gone? It's like you know that song, right? Where have all the flowers gone? Where have all the protesters gone? Where have all the voices gone? Where have all the advocates gone?
Let me explain to you.
Are there no more necks? Are there no more feet on necks, or have the feet shifted from our necks onto our mouths? What exactly is going on in St. Lucia? Because I know the people of this country can be vocal when they choose to. So what is going on? Go ahead.
Let me explain.
Mm-hmm.
So, the SLP government is very strategic. I was having that discussion with somebody not too long ago. The SLP, not in government, is very strategic as a political body. So, when they get into government, one of the first things that they do is they push their operatives to head every organization, every trade union, every association, everything. They have their operatives heading those associations, etc. Okay? There is not one independent voice sitting on a board, on association, or the head of an organization, etc. in St. Lucia anymore. Because the SLP has ensured that it's there, yes, sir, the yes boys and yes girls, that they've pushed to sit on those
Yes, sir, 3 bags full.
Sorry?
There's a nursery rhyme that says, yes, sir, 3 bags full. So that's what we see in there.
3 bags. That's right. So they're giving them 3 bags full.
Mm-hmm.
3 bags full of whatever I didn't say. And yes, sir, yes, sir. And whatever the SLP want, whatever the agenda is being carried out, whether it hurts the people of St. Lucia or not. And more hurt than not. Yeah. So St. Lucians are hurting now because all our organizations, we have no independent voices sitting on those organizations that can say enough is enough. You raised the price of gas when you should not have raised the price of gas when gas was going down on the world market. Now that gas is going up because there's a sudden war, you want to come and tell us you're giving us 3 weeks before you raise the price of gas when you've overcharged us for the last 5 years for gas in St. Lucia. And as a result of the high gas prices, everything else escalated in price. Electricity is the first thing that it affects. Transportation, the second thing. Once electricity is affected and the price goes up, guess what? All the prices of goods in the supermarket or restaurants everywhere, because the fridge uses electricity. They have lights, they have air conditioned units. They're using a lot of electricity in those places. So obviously the consumer, us the people that buy, we are the ones that those exorbitant prices are passed on through the purchase of the goods in the shop. And people, please understand, Nukage lamowi ani pui electricity adidai. Nukage lamowi ani pui 2.5% compounded tax for security and health. Two things that we do not have in this country: health nor security. And I say so because our health system, it has fallen. I say so because security, we hang of the deaths every single day. Gunshots, chopping, this stabbing, this, that. We see new police vehicles, whoa, on the road, passing us, boy, wait. However, we have more deaths happening in the country. We have more insecurity in the country. So I'm asking, all the high prices and all the extra taxes and everything that Philip JP has bestowed upon us, we still sitting here and saying, Philip working? Or is Philip working, or is Philip taxing? And in the taxing, Philip, we do not know where that tax money is going. Also, Philip needs to explain to us where is, and you know why I call him Philip? I'll tell you why. Because they call John Compton John Compton. They call Alan Shastney Alan. So I can call Philip JP Philip. I'm not disrespecting him, that is his name. Philip needs to respond to us as to where our money, our tax money is going. One, all the taxes, all, because it's a lot of tax we have. Where all the extra monies he's collecting on fuel he has collected from 2021 to 2026. Where has that money gone? And Philip, you have a big explanation to give. The biggest explanation is how many passports of St. Lucia did you sell to foreigners for $150,000 and up? How many? For one, For one. How many passports did you sell? And through the CIP office? And where is that money? Does it amount to billions of dollars? And if it does, where is the money? Does not belong to the developer. Our passport is a St. Lucia passport. It belongs to St. Lucians. Where is that money? Why am I seeing MPs getting rich overnight in St. Lucia and out of St. Lucia too? Because properties are being bought overseas. How come we don't have an explanation for what is going on there? We're not seeing the country's money. However, we're seeing a handful of people, their lifestyles are changing right before our very faces when more taxes and more expenses are dropped on the normal solution working man and woman. We need explanations for these things.
And I hope we get them. I really hope we get them. But we do have to. I do have to.
Let us go.
Hold on, caller. Unfortunately, I do have to cut you short because time is against us. I want to wrap up the show quickly. Full disclosure will be on next. So thank you very much for your contribution and do have a wonderful day. Thank you, caller.
Thank you, Angie. Yeah. Thank you.
All right, guys, we're going to have to wrap up because Foster Chico is on his way in and I don't want to be taking up too much more of his time. Somebody said to me they want more of Foster. So I guess you guys are tired of me now, but let's run through some of the comments. The comments on the Facebook platform are building up. Somebody says, soon there will be no more middle class in St. Lucia. Another says, I don't know if you guys are feeling how bad things are getting, how things are getting very expensive, plus people are losing work here because of the war that is going on right now. So my people should start looking back at their backyard right now. If it's getting hard in a country that has resources, what about St. Lucia that depends on tourism? Think, my people, think. Somebody says education can be used as a weapon to manipulate. Another is saying Angie, St. Lucia's housing program cannot be compared to that of Dominica, St. Kitts, Grenada, and even St. Vincent. It's a damn shame these islands are using their CIP to provide better living accommodations for their people. Angie, can you say the same for St. Lucia? Would you call that a housing revolution? I have not seen any houses, so I don't know. Somebody says they are being paid to be quiet. Another says, Angie, I'm tired of hearing every week about these senseless killings. All PJP will say is accept my sympathy to the families and close relatives, that's all. Nothing put in place to fight this cancer plaguing the nation. Well, you are not the only one. I don't think anybody is comfortable hearing all of this violence that is going on in St. Lucia. Somebody says labor first is spell thirst. So Labour laugh like PJP laugh when he is giving his speech. The Labour Party is putting you thirst, but the listeners start shouting and clapping and never heard the word thirsty. Okay. Another says he and his comrades, the special prosecutor has to investigate. Another one says, caller, when will you get this breakdown? Is it in this lawless country? Another says, caller, all these thieves deliberately voided the department which demands that they declare their assets. So I believe that this allows them to hide the money that is supposed to cover state affairs in the manner of personal or private projects, such as this business building project you spoke about. Okay, guys, I will have to ask you to refrain from making these types of statements on any, not just this, but any public platform. You may not realize it, but these can lead to serious litigation where you will have to provide proof of these allegations. So please don't say things like that. Another says, LOL, what soaps is that? Angie, you sure PJP said that? LOL. Guy said so many things he said. Somebody says, my lady, the Minister for Housing said he was going to construct a condo development in South Castries. That was for the gas attendants. Plus, he said, with the rep for Grosley, they will construct a set of condos in the north, and in Parliament he said he will be constructing condos in all 17 constituencies. Go back and watch the clips. This is a minister who walks like a T-bird. I don't know what that means. Okay. I call him big movement with no action. Somebody is saying that somebody's pointing out Jermari gas station. I don't know why. Maybe that's where the individual went to purchase the fuel. Somebody says, even in the situation with Marjorie, they were singing and dancing to Jack, Don't Want Me to Bathe on My Beach. Now it is not even Jack. Okay, I'm not going to read the rest of that. Somebody says, caller, you are absolutely 100% correct. Another says, Angie, I think that people are now concerned about empty pans that they used to beat that cannot be replenished. Ay. Somebody says they have all gone to Lockjaw for jobs, handouts, and contracts. Well, guys, this is it for us here on Hard Talk today. Full disclosure is coming up in a few minutes. I'm concerned, guys. I don't know about you, but I'm concerned about how the country's money is being spent. I'm concerned about how the $1.48 billion that the country amassed from various taxes is being put to use to further the cause of the common man. In a situation where we did not collect so much tax revenue, we had movement in the country. Roads were visibly being rehabilitated, so much so that people were complaining as if the work was too much. You remember the hue and cry, moun paka manje chime? Infrastructure was being upgraded, and all of these things were being done smack dab in the middle of a global pandemic. Little St. Lucia was leading the charge in investing in infrastructure, creating jobs, protecting livelihoods. Yet now all I see is St. Lucia deteriorating and focusing all of its attention on protecting the victory, but not the people. In the meanwhile, our young people are dying. Our hospitals are running out of everything, from bed space to medication to even professionals. And our Prime Minister is touting the work of other governments in other countries. Where, oh where, does that leave us? It's a pertinent question for another time. Have a wonderful day. Thank you for joining us here on Hardtalk. Stay tuned for Full Disclosure with Foster Chico coming up in a few minutes. Bye-bye.